All right, so let us start. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this online tour in Neagari. My name is Vadim Bushmakin, and I work in Nomi International Exchange Association. And today joining me is Mr. Costello. He's an American living here in Neagari, and his lovely wife, Mrs. Kojimoto, and also Mrs. Medina from our office. She'll be helping us today. And today we'll walk around Neagari district of Nomi City for about 1 hour. And we'll introduce some history of the city, some nice places, and some places connecting the town to the world. The thing is that even many locals say that Neagari has no interesting sites, nothing to see for tourists, and they need something to be built here to attract more people. But actually, there are some interesting places, and that's what I'm going to show you today. I hope it will be interesting too. And we start here from Nomi Neagari Station. We're here now. And well, this present building is quite new. It was built in 2015, so some 8 years ago. And the concept that they used here was making this railway station a piece of art. So here they have display of Kutani ceramics. That's what we can see here in the back. And Kutani is one of the main features of Nomi City from old days. And it has been so for many years. It's a big piece of industry and a big piece of art that's been created here. So here is the display of some works. They do change these from time to time. There were some flower vases here before. Now it's some frames with pictures. And the station has many things from Kutani. And we're going to see it on the way. So let's go up into the station building. And let's change the view. Okay, let's go.
All right. I didn't give any fake information. No misinformation. No, I'm not on that.
Well, for now, it's okay, but we will see some more on the way. So we need to go up to the station. And from here, you can see the walls are decorated with colored dots. And they are all of 5 colors. Let's go up. The 5 colors that are used in traditional Kutani ceramics. So that's blue, green, yellow, red, and purple. And even the glass windows are with the same dots. So it's beautiful here in the morning when the sun rises up from this side. And so those dots on the windows give color shades here on the wall. And on this opposite wall, there are works from the annual coloring sheets contest that we have in Nomi City. So these are works that received the first prize for 7 consecutive years that we have this contest here in Nomi City. And they put them up here on display. And before that, they display them in Kutani Ceramics Museum. So the very high quality. Last year, we received 1,135 works from all over Japan, even from abroad. The second year that the contest was conducted here with that, you see the cock picture, right? The rooster. So I started advertising it in Russia and among foreigners who live here in Nomi City. So last year, again, we received many works from abroad and from foreigners who live here. So this contest became international because of that. And we have more and more people who try to present their works and to get some prizes. So this is very nice.
Yeah.
And the actual works that they used for these coloring sheets are copies of old famous Kutani works. So they make them just black and white, and people color them as they like. And each year we have some really nice ideas of how to make this traditional design in new ways. Yeah, very artistic.
So where are some of the other pieces of art right now? You mentioned
yes, they do
over 1,000 have been.
Yes, they do exhibitions in the local Kutani Art Museum. The end of contest in November. It starts usually in like July or August. And for several months, they collect the works. And then in November, December, they do the exhibition. And you can see them there.
Okay.
And here is a good view over Neagari. And in good weather, you can see Mount Hakusan over there. But not now, it's a bit cloudy.
Yeah.
Yeah, although it's quite sunny now. Yes, well, there is a picture down here that shows the mountain. It's the highest local mountain, 2,902 meters high, and it's considered to be one of the holy mountains of Japan. Have you ever climbed it?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
But it's been a long time. It's
Long
been
time ago?
30 years.
30 years ago.
30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
We went up in the summer, in July and hiked. So we would like to go again later this year when the snow melts off.
All right. Well, hopefully you'll get a chance. Usually
Yeah.
the climbing season is like end of July and August
Yeah.
when it's hot. And Hakusan actually means white mountain because throughout the year, most of the time of the year is covered with snow. So only in summer there's a short period of time when there is no snow on top and you can go there up there easily. And this station used to be called Terai Station till 8 years ago when it was rebuilt till 2015. And the reason was because there was a smaller local line going from here towards the mountains. It was connecting Neagari, Terai, Tatsunoguchi, and then Tsurugi towns. There were several towns back at the top. Now, Neagari, Terai, and Tatsunoguchi are Nomi city. And it was built mainly by people from Terai to carry all of the ceramics that they made here. And this is the Hokuriku main line that goes along the coast of the Sea of Japan. But the local line would connect the Terai region to this line, and they would export a lot, even abroad. So at that time, it was kind of logical to name this Terai station. And then in the actual Terai, there was another station called Hon Terai, which actually means the actual Terai. So Terai and the actual Terai, there were two. But even back in the day, many people living here in Neagari wondered, why is that? It's Neagari here, but this station is called Terai. There were many protests, and they renamed it only 8 years ago. And that local line was built up in 1925 and served till 1980 when it was cancelled and then demolished. So for 55 years. And even after that, for 35 years more, it still continued to be Terai station. And then they rebuilt it and made this into this piece of art. So here's another staircase going down. And they call this the sunset slope. I don't know why they chose the word slope for this, but well, the sunset is because from this side, when the sun is setting, it also gives beautiful shades on the wall because of these colored dots of the same 5 colors of Kutani ceramics. And from here, again, in good weather, you can see some sea that way from the windows. And then there is also in older days, there used to be a straight road going down to the sea. And there was a small beach there where you could swim. Nowadays, unfortunately, it's closed already because they say the most of the beach is gone now. The sea is coming up, and it's not safe there anymore. So you cannot really swim down there. So this is the slope. Oh, we can see some color shades even now because of the sun. It's this side now because after noon. Yeah. So you walk here often?
We come to the station maybe once a month or so. Because we take the train into Kanazawa occasionally. We've been trying to go to see the Kenrokuen Park in different seasons, different times of the year.
All right.
And we've actually had a couple of friends come recently that had never been there. So it's always enjoyable to take someone who's never been there at all, and people are always quite impressed to see it, and it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, Kenrokuen is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yes, and in Saturdays and Sundays, they have free access to locals for any people who live in Ishikawa Prefecture. So it's a good time to go there on weekends. And also they do like light ups in the evenings 5 times a year for the sakura season, for the snow season, for the red leaf season in fall. Yeah, and 2 more times in summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were able to see it April last year when they had the light show. We didn't see it this year. I think we were there the week before the light show was the.
Yeah, it was just recently this year.
Yeah.
All right. So here is just the living district, but there is a lot of industry, small plants collected here in this part of the town. And there are many Vietnamese living here. So just down that road, soon in May, there will be a new Vietnamese cafe open. One of the Vietnamese people who is active here in Nomi City is opening her own cafe. She's a nice young lady, and she helps us a lot in our international association, doing translations and actively participating in our events. So hopefully she'll have a nice cafe, and we try to support her.
Yeah.
And Vietnamese now form the biggest number of foreigners here in Nomi City. So the overall population of the city is 50,000 people. And Vietnamese are more than 1,000 now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm
second place would be Chinese.
That there are that many. I know that in the class that I'm in, the Saturday morning class here, there are a number of Vietnamese.
Yes, there are,
I think, more than any other nationality in the class.
Yeah, they're number one foreigners here.
Yeah, I'm amazed that
it used to be Chinese for a long time. But several years ago, when Japan started to import a lot of work power from Asian countries, Vietnamese became number one.
All right.
So number 2 are Chinese, and then Brazilians. Also many Brazilians living here who work also, a lot of them in plants. Same as in the neighbor city of Komatsu. They have even more Brazilians. And then number 3, I think, are Koreans. There are many living here too. Although I don't know many. Are there any Koreans in your class?
I don't think there are at the present
time. There used to be like a couple of them some time ago. Maybe not now. And we can see the airplanes. There is a Komatsu airport just down that way. And at times it's quite noisy here because it's both the army, the army air base, and a civilian airport. So a lot of planes coming here. And especially it's noisy when the warplanes go on their rounds for training over the Sea of Japan. Yeah. It's even more noisy down in Komatsu, of course, but here too. Every morning and like at noon, they fly by in 2s or 3s. So many people here have to do additional sound protection on their windows because it's quite noisy.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you often hear them in your house?
And they're not that close to the airport. Right? They're not like right up near it. I mean,
right up
still
near it's quite
a few miles away.
Yeah.
We've heard the National Guard flying over before. So we've heard them when we've been out and about. Yeah.
Okay, so just around the corner here to the left is the administrative center of Neagari. It used to be the city hall of Neagari town. And now, since Neagari joined Nomi city, it's one of the city offices, the administrative office, and it gives some civic services. And so only part of the old building over there, behind the houses we can see, was left. Part of it demolished, and some parts built anew. So if you have any procedures to do, like some paperwork, you need to go here. And over there is an elementary school called Hama. And I can see children now playing baseball.
Yeah, looks like there's a game going on today.
Yes, baseball is very, very popular in Japan, same as in the United States.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Yep,
Sounds
they're playing.
Looks like they're playing baseball on the beach.
Why so? Because of the sand?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that you know, a lot of, I guess more often than not, there's grass in the outfield.
Oh.
But
in Japan, all of the sports fields in schools are sand. So baseball fields too.
Yeah.
Right, let's go on. So just past the school, there is also a small pool. It's open to the citizens. And well, this part is kind of the center of Neagari, because there was the former city hall of Neagari, and then this school, and then there's a junior high school next to it, and the city pool. And then there is a Budokan, the Center for Traditional Japanese Martial Arts, just on the way. And that's where we are going to next.
Okay.
So do you do any sports?
Yes. I compete as a masters athlete in track and field.
Oh, track and field. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I belong to the Ishikawa Prefecture Masters Track Club. And we're just getting into the beginning of the season.
Oh,
so we have some track meets through the summer and in the fall.
So do you participate in the marathons?
I've done a few marathons because we've lived in Honolulu.
Okay.
So we used to do the one in Honolulu. But actually, the marathon takes a lot of training, a lot of time.
No, that's true.
It's really taxing on your body. So I like to do the track and field because I like the mixture of the weight events and the running events and the throwing events. So
okay, so like various kinds of activities.
I like to.
I see. All right. So here the elementary school finishes, and then the next building is a big gym, sports center. Again, open to the citizens. And then there's a pool, and here's the field for the junior high school. So girls are playing softball, I guess. And the opposite there is the Budokan, the Center for Traditional Martial Arts. So let's cross and see it closer by. It's a bit windy today.
They have strong arms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sportsmen, sports girls.
I said the girls have strong arms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's cross to the Budokan. So here's the Budokan, the Center for Traditional Martial Arts. And it's not that big, but they have two parts, one for Judo and one for Kendo. So Kendo is traditional Japanese fencing with bamboo swords and wooden swords.
Yeah.
And Judo is, throwing people around using their force. Yes, and that's what they do here. It's quite old. And it was built in the times where it was still Neagari town. And the mayor was Mr. Mori Shigeki. And next to the Budokan, there is this memorial to that person, Mr. Mori. He was a very prominent political figure here in Ishikawa Prefecture. And he did so much for the city after the war. And the citizens decided to build this memorial for him. I have a picture of Mr. Shigeki here. Let me show you. He served as a mayor of Nomi city for 9 consecutive years. This is his picture.
Yeah.
And so this memorial on the right side has 9 steps that represent those 9 terms that he served. Not 9 years, 9 terms.
9 terms.
Yes, that's much more than 9 years.
Yeah.
And so after he died, the citizens built this memorial. And on the back there, on the wall, there's plates that tell his history and his main accomplishments during his terms as a mayor. And then back to the memorial, there's this red sphere. And the sphere is round. And in Japanese, there's a word emman, meaning something round and complete. So for the complete happiness of the citizens, this is the image of those. And then there is like this spear part going up, and that represents the idea of the citizens growing up and going into the future. And well, so symbolic, and also representing his activities as a mayor of Nomi City.
It's quite beautiful, but
it is.
We have something else to share with you.
Oh, really?
And that I mentioned when we were at the party a couple of months ago, that Minako has traveled on the Siberian Express.
Yes.
So she actually visited his grave site in Russia.
Oh, in Shel. Okay. Yes, that's great.
You want to say something about?
Yes.
Yeah, it was in Shel.
Yes, Shel.
It was a quiet, peaceful town.
Yes, it is. It's quite small. So Shel is a sister city of Neagari and now of Nomi. And Mr. Mori started that friendship. And he put a lot of effort to make that come true. Because back at that time, their friendship started in 1964, when he first visited Soviet Union. And it was still just a few years after the war. And the Japan and Soviet Union didn't have much relations. And there was active resistance in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan and Ministry of Internal Affairs. And it took him some 10 years to actually do this officially, to start official friendship and to do the sister cities officially. Yes.
Right.
And so now it's been going for almost 50 years, right? The Sister Cities Act was signed in 1974. Yes. And so he did a lot of that.
Yeah, my friend who lived in Neagari told me about it. I didn't know anything about the gravesite. So while I was traveling, my friend texted me, there is a gravesite, Mori-san gravesite there.
Yes.
So we got interested in going there. And and then taxi driver actually knew.
Oh, yes. Over there, everybody knows that place because he's a very famous person there.
Yeah.
Yes. So back here, there's also one part for archery, traditional Japanese archery, Judo.
Oh, yeah.
And then a sumo place. So here you can do Kendo, the fencing, the Judo, the archery, and sumo wrestling. So center for traditional Japanese martial arts.
These other facilities were even here.
Yes, there's more. Sumo is now maybe not so popular for young people, but as a national sport, it's quite big on TV. So they have 5 big tournaments every year. And it's a big event on TV, and there's a lot of people watching that.
Yeah.
Here on local scales, maybe not so popular, but still as a national sport, is still quite popular.
Yeah, we enjoy watching the tournaments when they're televised here.
Oh yes, they're quite interesting. If you like wrestling, it's quite particular as a sport. Quite interesting to watch. Yes, the big guys competing. Ishikawa Prefecture actually has several people who were born here, but are now the pro wrestlers there in big sumo. And currently, I think there's 3 persons.
Yeah.
Like Kagayaki and Endo, and one more.
Yeah.
What was that?
Enho.
Enho.
Enho
And Endo, too.
Endo.
And Kagayaki. Yes, those 3. There used to be some more. And, well, yes, they're kind of local heroes because they came from this provincial area to compete in big sports on the national level.
So we know that there are also a few from Mongolia that are competing now. But
that's right.
Over the years, have there ever been any from Russia?
Yeah, they were some from Russia. They weren't on really high level, but there were some. Yes. Also, like from Georgia, which is part of former Soviet Union. And then from one guy from Estonia, also former Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And then one guy was from Czech Republic. So from Western Europe, from Eastern Europe, there were some. Yes. So now we'll cross over to the junior high school. That's a building of the Neagari Junior High School over there.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Today is Sunday, so the school is closed, but the sports clubs.
Yeah, a lot of the kids are still
for this. Yeah, so those kids are playing soccer.
Practicing,
yes. Over there. So this part of town is quite peaceful because mainly it's just living houses around. And the industrial part that I was talking about back there is closer to the sea. There are many small factories and plants there.
Yeah.
And this is more living quarters. So you can say bed town, probably. This year Sakura is so early. Usually the high season for Sakura is this time, around like 10th of April and 15th of April. But this year it started blooming like 2 weeks earlier than usual. So almost all gone now. Hopefully we'll see at least one tree somewhere on the way. There was one back in Takasaka Park, which will be the final destination of our walk today. Maybe we'll still see that. It was there last week.
Yeah.
When we did this in Russian. So over here is Neagari Junior High School. And this is one of the places that connects Neagari to the world because this school has sister school in Korea, I think that's in Seoul. And they have exchanges with junior high school in Korea, and students come and go. Well, lately, because of the COVID, these exchanges stopped.
Yeah.
But they used to every year in summer. And also, since the times of Neagari town, they did exchanges with Soviet Union, with Russia. And students from Russia would also come here. They'd usually visit the school and see some classes and enjoy communicating with the students here. And also here is an interesting place, a huge ceramic picture on the wall over here. So this was made in 1985, I think. Yes, and this was the year when the mayor Mori, Shigeki, quitted his job on his 9th term because he was quite old at the time and he was quite sick. And the city paid him some money for his retirement, but he returned all of that money back to the town. And it was used for social welfare projects. And one project was this one. So it's a huge picture on the wall. And we've seen one picture back at the railway station, but that was flat, just drawn on tiles. But this one is not flat. You can see the trees are standing out, the flowers and the waves and the sun.
Right.
Yes, and it's 9 meters tall and 20 meters wide. And it's 7,000 pieces of ceramics used up there.
Wow.
Yes, all ceramic.
Yeah.
So even on the country scale, it's quite big. And when it was built, it was all in the national news. Even. Yes, this represents the view of the town from the sea. You can see the waves in front, and then the pine trees, and Hakusan Mountain in the back on top there. Yes, very beautiful. So just the beauty of local nature. Yes.
Very generous of him to give back to the community.
Well, yes, he was from a wealthy family. He didn't really need that money, so he put it back to the city. He did a lot of his personal effort to make this sound better, and so that money also went for this. Well, it was made actually by one of his friends who was a ceramics artist, and it took 2 years to build all of this, and it's quite impressive, I think, even now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so very beautiful. Also over there's a small monument connecting this to the Shel again, the sister city in Russia, because the local students went over there, especially the first couple of times. It was so unique. Those were the first ever children groups going to Soviet Union in post-war history of Japan. So they would build this monument in the memory of that. It says in the memory of visiting a pioneer camp in Soviet Union, and they planted a tree. Right, and there are similar monuments over in Shel in Russia.
Yeah,
because the children would come in and they would plant trees, and to commemorate that, they have several monuments like that too.
And how about exchanges these days between?
Well, no, again, because of COVID, we didn't have anything for 3 years now. And this year too, probably there won't be anything. We only had some online exchanges. So for all those 3 years, we could only do online. And no groups could come because of the COVID restrictions. But hopefully, well, this year they officially proclaimed that COVID is kind of over. Not really yet, but kind of. So maybe in the near future, we would resume those.
Yeah, I hope so.
Hope so. Yes. Okay, now let's cross the street. And over there is a beautiful old pine tree. You can see it's quite big, so quite old. And this type of pine trees were all over this place back in the days. And they have a specific feature about them. We'll see now when we come close. So the roots are out. And the roots are out, and the stem of the tree is kind of standing on the air. It's lifted up from the ground. And this is because in older days, all of this area was sand dunes. And the wind would blow the sand out from the roots. And the roots would come out to the surface, and they would get stronger. So they kind of form additional stems of the tree, and that's out. And in Japanese, that's called Neagari. The roots are up. And that's where the name of this town, Neagari, came from, by the legend. Yes. The most famous tree is down south from here, on one of the sand dunes that still exist nowadays. But there were many all along here, and this is one of them that still remain till nowadays.
Because there's also the Neagari Park, right? Neagari Pine Park.
Yes, on the Neagari Yama.
Where we've gone to see the cherry blossom.
Yeah, there's cherry blossoms there and the famous tree.
Yeah.
It's also the site of an ancient battle of samurai times. And the town was supposedly the name for that very pine tree. But there are many such pine trees all over here, and this is one of them. So kind of the same. The roots are up.
Yeah.
So Neagari, the pine tree with roots visible up above the ground. It's quite interesting, actually. And we talked about Kenrokuen Garden, remember? And they have one tree like this over there. Remember, there is a statue of Yamato Takeru, so opposite that. And that one was made artificially by hand, but it imitates this natural thing.
To imitate the erosion that takes decades.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, so this is the tree, right? Let's go on. So over here, there's a small Shinto shrine, just a local shrine with traditional Japanese gods. You know, Japan has two major religions. That's Shinto, which is an old religion. Basically, they believe in the powers of nature. The head goddess is the goddess of sun, called the Materasu. And then her brother is the god of wind, called Susano. Apparently, they had some event here today. So just a small shrine over here. This is called Hachiman Jinja. Hachiman is the god of war, actually. And Hachiman shrines are number one in quantity in all of Japan. They're very popular. And number two is probably Hakusan shrines, dedicated to Mountain Hakusan here. Yeah, so Hachiman are also very, very common. Yes. So here on the shrine grounds, you can see a lot of stone and metal lanterns, and then those big statues, or horses, and Chinese lights. These are all given by the parish, their presence to the shrine to show the devotedness, to show respect and gratitude towards the gods. And well, so all of these are presents. Some are new, some are old.
You've been here before?
I don't think so.
Well, it's just a small local shrine, not really much to see. Okay.
Yeah, used to come by.
And this is also interesting. This is made of rice straw. And they change it every year for the new year. And the idea is that rice straw shows a big harvest. And harvest, well, rice produced is one of the main riches of Japan in older days. So to show big harvest and wishes for big harvest in the coming year, they would put this rice straw ropes here as a decoration.
All right. We're hoping for a big harvest too.
Yes. Okay. Do you grow rice?
No, some vegetables though.
Oh, some vegetables.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have some lettuce and some spinach and some radishes.
Well, they use kind of the same decoration for home decorations for the new year, right? There is this rice straw rope as a decoration. So same idea. It represents big harvest. Rice was just the main agricultural produce back in the days. It still is, mostly. So, yes. And so here the road goes, you can see a little downhill. And the thing is that back in the day, this was the sand dunes here. And the sand dunes were eliminated by the machines only after the war. And before that, there was sand here, and downhill there was a lower place. And originally, the small village that was here was down there. And north from here, there is a river called Tedori. And in summer, in spring, it often gets too much water and it overflows. There are floods. So once that village that was downhill there got fully flooded, and they decided to move it up here on a higher bank, on the sand dunes. Yes. On the side, the life was much harsher, but they managed somehow. They built a lot of small pools with water in every household to keep the water there for, well, watering the plants. And back in the day, they produced a lot of grapes around here because sand was good for grapes. But then after the war, they brought in the what do you call that? The bulldozers. Yeah, and they demolished all of those sand dunes and put some soil on top of it, and they started growing more rice. So almost nobody grows grapes here anymore. Mostly it's rice fields.
Interesting. Yeah, that it changed that much because yeah, I mean there's so much rice, so many rice paddies.
Yes,
but I've not seen grapes in this area.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
Over here, there's a small Buddhist temple. It's not that old. It was built originally in 1924, I think. Yes, it's called Hosenji. Not just a small local temple, and looks like a just big old building. So parish would come inside. They would have some lectures on Buddhism and some ceremonies, and a beautiful maple tree here. Yeah, it's already red. So in fall, they have red leaves in Japan, very beautiful.
Yeah.
And the garden here is quite beautiful. It has a lot of moss. And they have some cherry trees too, I think, somewhere. No, maybe not. Not here. Should be beautiful in fall. This temple is of Shinshu sect. Which sect does your wife belong to? What is your family's Buddhist sect? Shinshu?
Jodo Shinshu.
Oh, so same. Yes. This is the most common in this area. Yes. And in older days, this area, it was Kaga province. It was used to be called the kingdom of Shinshu because there were so many people worshiping the sect and so many followers. And it was the main power here back in the day. And later the local lords, the Maeda lords, came to Kanazawa and they started this Maeda clan. But before that, the priests, the Buddhist priests were the main power around here. So it was the Shinshu kingdom. That's a nice, beautiful town. Yes. You can see this house is very old because of the design up there by the roof with this wooden planks. Yes. It kind of reminds me of Alpen houses, you know, in like Switzerland. They also use kind of this design, white walls and wooden planks decorating the walls. So this kind of decoration was popular here like 100 years ago or so. So this house should be very, very old. Maybe beginning of the 20th century somewhere.
Yeah.
And this very road used to be a, what was it called? It was a highway. And, you know, it was going from south, from Fukui prefecture up north. So a very important transport arteria of the area. So along this road, still there are some old, very old houses from it. This one too, I think, is very old because it has the same design.
Yeah,
on top. Yeah, some big old houses. In the rural area around here, they used to live in big families in one big house, so they would make them really big. And the new houses are much smaller, like this one. It is quite new, I think. Yeah. Much smaller. Well, now land is quite expensive. But back in the days, they could build all they wanted, so they would actually build very big houses. Here, there is a small sand field where they grow some flowers. So you can imagine all of this was covered by sand back in the days.
Yeah.
If you look at that, all was like this. Again, you can see this goes downhill from here.
Yeah.
Yes. So all of that area was flooded sometimes. The biggest flood was here in 1930. no, 33. Showa 5年? Showa 8年. Yes, it's year of Showa, 1933. So even up to here, they would have came, although Tidori River is quite far away up north. Another big old house. You can see it has some siding on the walls now. But if you look up at by the roof, you can see it's quite old. They even have their family crest up there by the top. Yes. And you can see that wall is old. And this part was just renewed, probably. Put on some siding.
Yeah, it looks modernized down below.
Yeah, it's modernized. And this one is new. Do you live in an old style house or in a new one?
It's kind of I guess a lot of it in interior, it looks very traditional where we live. Yeah.
Okay.
Very cold. It was so cold.
Oh, cold in winter. Yes. Here there's a small park and then another Shinto shrine back there. Just a local small park. And here, one of the Japanese things, there's this big poster with a person in it. That's Mr. Sasaki, who was born here in Neagari, actually, but he became a member of the parliament. And maybe some 10 years ago, there was a different person in the same place, Mr. Mori Yoshiro, who was the son of Mr. Mori Shigeki, the mayor of Neagari. Yes. So this guy came to replace him when he quitted politics. So now it's Mr. Sasaki, the next generation after Mr. Mori Yoshiro. You know, Mr. Mori Yoshiro is now quite old, and but still, up till a couple of years ago, he was quite active in politics. And his last post was the head of organizing committee for the Tokyo Olympics of 2020.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's one of the prominent figures who was born here. And just a bit further on, we'll see his old house. Another nice garden. Tulips.
Yeah.
This year again, same as sakura, everything started blooming so early. Tulips should be usually in May. And they're already here.
Yeah.
Quite early. Why so? I wonder. Somebody stole 2 weeks from us and we didn't notice. So this was the highway and, well, important road going down south. Another road was passing through Terai, and we shot video there 2 years ago. Also, that was the Kami highway. And this one, I forgot the name. Sorry. Maybe I'll remember it back later. Anyway, an important road. So the most important houses of this town were along this road. And still some old ones are left. And over here we can see also an old storage house, this white building.
Yeah.
So back in the days when these houses didn't have any electricity, they used these as giant refrigerators. They would build these storage houses with very thick walls out of clay. So through the year round, the temperature inside was stable, and it was good for storing food and most important things that you had in your house, in your possession, because the thick walls, there was fire, the whole house would burn down, but this part would not. So it was both a refrigerator and a safe. And well, now usually they would still keep these buildings although they do not use them as storages anymore. They would just join them with the house and make a room inside. And outside it's still old. And well, quite an interesting feature of these rural areas. There's still many preserved. This one too, I think. It's made of blocks. Yes, also an old storage house. Maple tree, another one. Now over here is the house of Mori family. Mori family was probably one of the most famous and wealthiest families here in Neagari. And for several generations, it served as local heads. At the time when this was still a village, first it was Shimonogo village and then Neagari village, the heads of the family served as village heads. And then when it became Neagari town, Mr. Mori Kihei, the father of Mr. Mori Shigeki, became the first mayor of Neagari. And this is their house. So you can see it's quite big and quite old. And now it's open as a museum to Museum of Friendship with Russia because the city is has a sister city in Shelihov. So that part in the back is the main house. And here on the side is a newer addition. And inside there's a museum to Mr. Mori Yoshiro, who was the Prime Minister of Japan in 2000 and 2001. I'll show you some pictures. So
see the lilac?
This is Mr. Mori Kihei, the first mayor of Neagari town. And several generations before him, they served as village heads here in Neagari and then Shimonogo village. And his son, Mr. Mori Shigeki, which I showed you already, was also a mayor of Neagari for a long time, for 9 terms. And then his son, Mr. Mori Yoshiro, served as the Prime Minister of Japan. This is him recently. And then the head of Tokyo Olympics Organizing Committee just recently. Yes, and this is their house. And Mori family is thus quite famous and influential here in Ishikawa Prefecture and in all of Japan. And since Mr. Mori Yoshiro served as a prime minister, he is very well known in all of the world even. And so this building on the left here is a museum of his activities as a prime minister. And here's a picture of the inside. So it has pictures of him when he was an active politician. He served as, well, several ministers, like Minister of Education, Minister of Building, and so on, and then the Prime Minister, 2 terms. And as a Prime Minister, he traveled all over the world, and he received many presents. So some of the presents are displayed here, like this gown on the left covered with gold. That was given to him in Central Asia, in country of Turkmenistan, I think. Yes, well, many things like that.
But some of their family still live here?
Yeah, the family still live here in the house. Yes, and well, it's just a regular house, but it's also a museum. So if you call them and you organize a visit, you can see the interior too. Now, the main house is the Museum of Friendship with Russia, and I also have a picture of inside there. It used to be much bigger than it is now. Now it's just like 2 big rooms inside. So there's one room here and another room bigger there. And they demolished the backside of the house several years ago to make way for a new building that they built in their garden, a building for the house for the elderly. The younger brother of Mr. Mori Yoshiro, Mori Yoshikazu, is the head of one of the local hospitals. And they also administer this house for the elderly. So they gave part of their own land to this new building of the house. And so now they share the garden in the back of their house with those grandpas and grandmas that live there. So a very nice place and a very good thing of them to do. And they have inside also this huge Buddhist altar. Here's the picture. And all of the delegations from Russia come here and they come to this house and bow to the altar because it venerates both Buddhas and the members of the family who are already gone, right? Including Mr. Mori Shigeki, who was the mayor of Neagari. Yes, and they all show respect us to this wonderful person and to this family. Yes, it's a very big and prominent old house. Yes, all right. Yes, it is beautiful. And these are cherry trees. Yeah.
Cherry blossoms.
Yeah, the cherry blossoms. They're all gone, but gone now. Again, I'll show you a photo. This is 2 weeks ago. I came here 2 weeks ago, exactly on Sunday. So it was very beautiful. The high blooming trees, high season for the trees, cherry blossoms. Yeah, now they're all gone. So this is called now Hazakura. Sakura turn into leaves. Yes, the leaves come out after the flowers fall. Yes. All right, well, let's go on.
Yeah, it looks very well maintained.
Yes, it is. Well, there are some really nice houses along this road. As I said, it was the main road here, the highway. And some houses are very old and some prominent people live around here. And they still have very nice gardens, like here too. A lot of blooming trees. In Japan, they have something blooming throughout the year, even in winter. They have camellia trees. Yeah. Over there, there's one camellia tree.
Yeah.
Also very beautiful.
No, I was surprised because of spending the winter here. It's the first time that I spent the winter in Japan. So I was always waiting for the flowers to fall on the ground and that would be it. But they're still there.
Yes, they bloom up till spring. I mean, they do fall down, but some new ones come out. So it's very beautiful with those pink flowers on the white snow.
Yeah.
And now when there is no snow, it's still beautiful when they fall like on the moss. So pink flowers and green moss, also very beautiful. And over here, they had these two old buildings on both sides of the road. They used to be some shops. So the first floor would be a shop and the family would live on the second floor. They don't operate anymore for many years now, but you can see it was some good business probably back in the day.
A good place to stop for cigarettes.
Oh yeah, they used to have a selling machine, cigarettes machine. Now over here is the house with Thomas the Train. You know that I think it's a British character. Thomas the Train.
Thomas the Train, and
A person living here is actually a magician. He does, magic tricks. Yes, and he uses the name Thomas for himself as his stage name. And he loves the character very much, apparently. Or maybe, Thomas the Engine. That's right. Now we're walking this small side street. And again, back in the day, this was all the land belonging to Mori family. They had huge land pieces here all over, and then they gradually sold it over or just gave it away to people who worked for them in the fields. So now they still have a huge area around the house, the garden, the house itself. But this was all their land originally. Now we're coming close to our final point, the Takasaka Park. And we'll see the Japanese part of it, the traditional Japanese garden that they have inside this park. Nomi City doesn't have many parks that are open to public that are in traditional Japanese style. This is just one of them. Another one is back of the Tanto concert hall. We have a small park there too, with traditional stone lantern and sakura trees too.
Yeah.
And this is the second one, probably. All of the other public parks are, just general parks, maybe European style. And over here, there's a huge restaurant called Hashoe. The garden of 8 pine trees it's the meaning of the name. There's the old building, and back there, there's a newer building. It's quite big. Although it's a very local restaurant, they serve traditional Japanese food. But the city uses it quite much for official meetings and when people from overseas come, well, including, naturally, when delegations from Russia come. And they all have blankets here.
Which area is there a restaurant here or here?
Both.
Both?
This is the old building and the new building. It's the same restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They have several banquet halls, big halls, and event spaces. And even over there, they have another building for weddings, the chapel. Yes. And if you go down that way, there's the local cemetery. And then there's a grave of the Mori family. So Mori Shigeki sleeps there. It is his local grave. And then there is another grave in Shalahov that you visited. So he has 2 graves, one in Japan and one in Russia. And that was his wish. He wrote that in his final wish. He wanted to have a part of his ashes buried in Russia.
Pretty unusual, right?
Well, kind of.
Many...
For modern people, it is. Like in the older days, in samurai times, some famous lords would have several graves all over the country. Like famous place would be Mountain Koya, what is now Wakayama Prefecture. It has many graves of famous warlords, and then they would have graves in their hometowns too. But modern people, yes, it's very unusual. And the idea was he hoped that this friendship between this town and Shalahov in Russia would continue for a long time, even after he's gone. Like he thought that if his grave would be there, somebody would go to visit, at least his family members. And it actually happened so. So all of the people who visit the territory now are going to his grave to say thanks to him. So his idea worked, actually. Yeah. So nice thinking. His wife is also buried the same way in this family grave over here. And part was buried in Shalahov. Yes. So here there's a small playground for children over there with some slides and rides and seesaws. And this part here is a traditional Japanese garden. So they have a pond and some gazebos like this, traditional style. And the pond has a red bridge, which is also a very traditional thing to do in Japan. For some reason, they color most of the bridges red. I don't know actually why, but it's a classical color for bridges. I think the idea came from China in older days, but in Japan they still keep that red bridges. A lot of irises. Oh, I don't think these are irises. They are something similar. I didn't know what's the name of this flower. My wife's sister. Oh, she met somebody. Okay. Now over here, around the pond, there's a lot of wisteria trees. And in May, they used to have wisteria tree festival here. And they would even have boats for amusement rides on this pond. I don't think they do this recently, but back in the days they used to. So this red bridge, and then the pond. Now, traditional Japanese gardens have an idea that it should have some water and some stones.
Yeah.
That would represent the yin and yang. So yin, the dark and something not constant, something moving, or female. That would be water, right? And yang would be represented by stones. There's something solid, not moving, constant, or male, right? So here too, there's a pond, and then there's huge rocks protruding out of it.
Yeah.
So they're always together, but they're opposite to each other, like in the meaning, right?
Complementary.
Yeah, they're complementary.
Yeah.
They need each other, although they are so different.
Yeah.
And there we have carps. They're koi in Japanese,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Colored carps. And I think they had a huge wisteria tree just on this side. I have this old picture. Let me show you this one. So there was a tree here in the beginning of 20th century up to I think like 1940s something, and then it just it was too old, and yeah, it's not here anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, they used to have this. They still have some wisterias now, and over there,
there's some flowering.
Some already flowering. Although again, it's too early.
It's
usually.
early.
Yes, usually it's in May, and they used to have this Wisteria festival every May, like around May 15th or so.
Yeah.
So early this year. Let's go and see the Wisterias. And again, this park is one of the international places here in Nomi because in Neagari days, it was used as a place to bring all the people who came from abroad to show this natural beauty. So here I have a picture of a Russian delegation here on this very bridge. Yeah. And so this was the traditional beauty of Japan that was always shown to them.
They dressed up a little more formally than we are.
Yeah. Probably. They had this official banquet in the Hakusan restaurant and then came here to see the beauty. Yeah, the Wisterias are here now already. So early this year. Last week I came here and they were not here yet. And this year they already came out. Oh, wow. So these flowers are very beautiful. And they just started now. You can imagine all of this covered in these flowers. And it's quite beautiful. Konnichiwa. Hello.
We did come here last year. We collected some seed pods. So
yeah. Those are the seeds.
We can grow.
You can see them. That's the beanstalks.
Last year.
And then there's those red flowers. I didn't know the English name for that actually. That's called bouquet in Japanese. What's the English name for this? It's also actually a fruit. They don't bring fruits in Japan, I think, but different species of it gives fruits in like southern countries, in south of Russia too. They have them. I didn't know the English name for that. Sorry. And they usually bloom somewhere around Sakura time. And the sakura tree there by the bridge was still blooming last week, and now it's all but gone. So bad. Too sad. Well, no sakura today.
End of the season.
Yes, the season finally ended. There's still like some yaezakura, which is the late species of sakura that blooms a bit later than the usual sakura. But for some reason, they didn't have any on the way here today. And this gazebo here is called Imite, a gazebo to view the wisteria trees. Yes. So it has a good view on the pond and then the surrounding trees.
And
there's one sakura over there. There's another Shinto shrine. It has the weeping kind of sakura. Not sure if you can see it on the screen, but there is one. Those are also usually pretty late. The weeping kind. Yeah. Like a willow tree. Yes. All right. So maybe we'll finish here today. And let us sit down and maybe we'll have some questions from our viewers.
I've been looking to see if I see any turtles, but I guess it's not quite sunny enough today.
Yeah, they do have some turtles in this pond.
Yeah,
I've seen them before.
Last year, I did see some.
So when there is sakura blooming and the wisteria tree is blooming, it's so beautiful here at the pond. All right, so that's it with our tour today, but maybe we have some questions from the audience. I wonder if we have any online now. Shimizu-san, can you hear us? Shimizu-san, 聞こえますか?
聞こえます。
はい。YouTube に何か質問ってないでしょうか?
コメントだけ一つあります。
はい。So there's one comment on YouTube apparently.
英語の、
はい、
英語のいい勉強になります。ニコちゃんマークです。
英語のいい勉強になります。So somebody wrote us a comment that was good for learning some English. Apparently some Japanese person was doing this. Okay, only one comment on YouTube. Well, if we have no questions, maybe let's finish up here today. And thank you everybody for joining us today. Mr. Costello.
It was very informative.
Good.
Yeah, we appreciate the history.
Mr. Kojimoto, Mrs. Kojimoto and Mrs. Milena. So do you agree now that Neagari still has some places to see and some interesting places? Definitely. Okay. Did you learn anything new today?
I grew up here, but I didn't know many things to explain to me. So.
Okay. Well, glad to hear that. Hopefully it will give you more opportunities to walk around and to see Neagari and to learn more about its history. So let us finish here today. And thank you all of our viewers online. I hope you'll have a chance to see Neagari by yourself and go around and walk the town. And now we're making a new video of Neagari, a full video. And today we walked only a part of this course that you'll see on the video. And I hope to finish this sometime during the spring. 2 years ago, we made video in Terai, which was also very popular. And I hope it gives you a chance to learn more about local history and local places to see and enjoy our Nomi city even more. So thank you all today and goodbye.